All right, so today we're jumping into the Selasutta. It's this incredible ancient story that honestly plays out like a high-stakes drama. It's all about a famous, super smart scholar who decides to put this mysterious new teacher to the ultimate test. And, well, what he finds out changes not just his life, but the lives of hundreds of his students forever.
So, let's get right into it. The whole thing kicks off with a single word. Yeah, just one. But this word is so rare, so loaded with meaning, that when a master of ancient text hears it, it just stops him in his tracks. It forces him to investigate, to challenge everything he knows. This is the story of that word, and the incredible meeting it led to.
Our story starts in a town called Apana, but we're not meeting our scholar just yet. Instead, it all begins with the arrival of a really extraordinary visitor. A man named Gautama, a teacher from the Sakyan people, has just walked into town. And he's not alone. Not by a long shot.
He's traveling with a massive group of 1,250 monks. I mean, can you just picture that? An assembly of that size on the move? It would have been an absolutely stunning sight for any town. A real spectacle.
So word gets around about this visitor and his famous teachings. It reaches a respected local Brahmin, a guy named Kinya. And Kinya is so impressed, he goes to Gautama and does something pretty incredible. He invites the entire group, all 1,251 of them, for a meal the next day. Think about that for a second. That's a huge, generous offer and a logistical nightmare.
And this is where things get really interesting. Because all the preparations for this giant feast, all the cooking and organizing, it creates a huge commotion. And that commotion is what draws the attention of the most respected scholar in the whole area. This is how we finally meet our main character.
Meet Sela. Now, Sela is a big deal. He's a master of the 3 Vedas, a total expert on ancient texts and prophecies, and he runs a school with 300 students. So when he sees all this hustle and bustle, he's curious. He figures it's got to be for a king's visit or a massive wedding.
Sela goes up to Kania and asks what all the fuss is about. And Kania's answer is really simple. He says, "Nope, no king, no wedding. I've invited a great teacher and his monks for a meal." But in that simple explanation, he uses a very specific word. A word that hits Sela like a lightning bolt.
Sela just stops. Wait, did you say Buddha? You have to understand, for a man like Sela who has spent his whole life studying sacred texts, this wasn't just some title. The word Buddha was legendary, something from ancient prophecies about a type of being that appears only once in a great while. To hear it spoken about someone here, now, it was almost unbelievable.
So here's the crucial part. Sela knows from his studies that the title Buddha is tied to a very specific physical prophecy. His scholarly mind immediately kicks into high gear. He can't just take some guy's word for it. No way! He has to see for himself. He has to put this visitor, Gautama, to the test.
And the test is all about these things called the Mahaparisa Lakanani, the 32 marks of a great man. Think of it like a prophetic checklist of very specific physical traits that this person is supposed to have. Sela has them all memorized. And this is a huge deal, because the idea was that a perfect body was a sign of a perfect being. And according to the prophecy, only 2 kinds of people are ever born with all 32 of these marks.
And here are the 2 destinies predicted for a person with these marks. If he stays in the regular world, he's destined to become a Kakavati, a righteous ruler of the entire world. But if he leaves that life behind, he becomes a Samasambuddho, a perfectly self-awakened one, a Buddha. Sela knows this prophecy inside and out.
So Sela grabs his students and goes to find Gautama to begin his inspection. You can imagine how intense this moment is. With his expert eye, he just meticulously scans Gautama's body, checking off the signs one by one. And he finds almost all of them, but then he gets stuck. 2 of the 32 signs aren't visible, and you can just feel the doubt creeping in.
And this is where the story takes a wild turn. The text tells us that Gautama is actually aware of what Sela is thinking. He knows exactly which 2 marks the scholar is looking for and why he's hesitating: the sheathed male organ and the incredibly long tongue.
So, knowing Sela's dilemma, Gautama performs what the text calls an act of psychic power. First, he makes the hidden mark of the sheathed organ visible to Sela. Then, even more dramatically, he sticks out his tongue and touches both of his ears, both nostrils, and covers his entire forehead with it. I mean, for Sela, this is it. It's miraculous, undeniable proof the last of his doubts just evaporate. Okay, so Sela is physically convinced. He has seen all 32 signs with his own 2 eyes. The prophecy is legit. But this brings him to one final, critical test. It's not about the body anymore, it's about purpose. Which of the 2 destinies is this great man going to choose? Sela immediately makes his argument for the first destiny. He basically says, look, you have the body of a king. You should be a world ruler. You should conquer and rule the world, Gautama. He sees the potential for a perfect, just king who could bring peace to everyone.
But Gautama's reply just completely flips the script. He says, I am a king, Sela, but not the kind you're thinking of. He declares himself the Dhammaraja, the king of the teaching. His kingdom isn't land, it's truth. His power isn't conquest, it's freedom. He says he turns the wheel of the teaching, a spiritual revolution that can never be stopped.
And that's the final piece of the puzzle for Sela. Hearing Gautama claim this higher, spiritual kind of kingship is more powerful than any physical sign. It confirms that Gautama has chosen the second path. He's not just a potential king, he is a Buddha, right here, right now. The investigation is officially over.
So what happens next? Well, it's immediate and it is total. Sela's intellectual certainty explodes into life-changing faith. Right there on the spot, he turns to his students and announces he's leaving his old life behind to follow this teacher.
You can see the whole journey so clearly, right? It starts with hearing one word, moves to verifying an ancient prophecy, then to challenging Gautama's purpose, and it all leads to this moment of complete commitment. He, along with his entire school of 300 students, asks the Buddha to let them join his monastic order.
The Buddha says yes, he accepts them. And then something just amazing happens. The text says that in just 7 days, 7, of practicing diligently, Sela and all 300 of his students reach the final goal. They become arahants, fully enlightened and free from all suffering. It's just an incredible testament to the path they just chose.
At the end of that week, Sela goes back to see the Buddha. But this time, he's not an examiner. He comes as an enlightened disciple. And he offers this beautiful praise, confirming everything about who the Buddha is, not because he read it in a book, but because he experienced it for himself.
So the Selasutta, a story that began as a scholar's hardcore, evidence-based investigation, ends up as a profound spiritual transformation for hundreds of people. And it leaves us with the same choice Sela was wrestling with, that same question from the prophecy. What is true power? Is it ruling the world outside of us? Or is it achieving complete mastery over the world within?